When your cat needs a blanket, do you actually know what that means? Most people look at it and think it's just a cute little habit. A soft blanket, gentle paws, that rhythmic push and pull. But behind that simple action, there's something deeper that most people miss. It's actually one of the most emotionally loaded things your cat can do. And if you ignore it or misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might be missing one of the clearest signals your cat has about how safe they feel with you. Let's start with what that strange little ritual really means. It's not about comfort, it's about security. Have you ever noticed that cats often need blankets right before they lie down? Or when they're curled up close to you? Most people assume the same thing. They think the cat is just fluffing up a soft spot, like making a tiny bed. And sure, it looks that way. But here's what's actually happening. Kneading is one of the strongest comfort signals a cat has. It's not about the blanket itself. It's about creating a space that feels emotionally safe. Researchers who study feline behavior call this a self-soothing ritual. The rhythmic pushing of their paws triggers calming responses in the brain. It lowers stress. It slows their breathing. In other words, when your cat needs a blanket near you, they're regulating their emotions. Think about that for a second. Out of all the places in the house, all the chairs, all the corners, all the quiet spaces, they choose that moment and that place, often right next to you. And by the way, if your cat sometimes needs you directly, your stomach, your legs, even your chest, don't brush that off. We'll come back to what that means later, and it's something most owners wish they had understood sooner. Your cat's brain is replaying a memory from kittenhood. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Have you ever noticed how young kittens need their mother while nursing? Most people have seen this without thinking much about it. But here's what's actually happening. Kneading originally develops during the earliest and safest moment of a cat's life. When kittens nurse from their mother, they press their paws against her belly to stimulate milk flow. It's a reflex built into their nervous system, and during that moment, something powerful happens in their brain. Warmth, food, safety, heartbeat, mother. All of those sensations get neurologically linked to that kneading motion. A 2019 behavioral study from the University of Lincoln's Animal Behavior Research Group found that adult cats frequently perform kittenhood nursing behaviors when they feel deeply relaxed and secure in their environment. In other words, kneading isn't random, it's a memory pattern. Your cat's brain is replaying one of the earliest feelings of safety they've ever known. Think about that. When your cat needs a blanket next to you, their brain is activating the same emotional state they had when they were with their mother. That moment when survival was guaranteed. That moment when the world felt safe. And somehow, your presence now triggers that same feeling. Your cat is quietly marking what belongs to them. Now, there's another layer most people never notice. Have you ever wondered why cats need the same blanket over and over again, or why they need your hoodie, your pillow, your lap? Most people assume it's just preference. But here's what's actually happening. Cats have scent glands in the soft pads of their paws. Tiny ones. Invisible, but powerful. And every time they need something, they're releasing small amounts of scent. Behavioral. Scientists have observed that this scent is part of a territorial bonding system in cats. They're not just making the blanket comfortable, they're marking it, not in an aggressive way, in a social way. When your cat needs something, they're blending. They're scent with it, that blanket becomes part of their safe territory, and if you're under that blanket, or wearing it, or sitting on it, you become part of that territory too. Think about that for a second. Your cat isn't just relaxing. They're quietly claiming the space around you as part of their world. And that's not about ownership. It's about belonging. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat lovers who actually want to understand what their cat is really saying. This behavior is older than your house. Older than domestication. Here's where it gets even more powerful. Because kneading didn't start with house cats. This behavior goes back thousands of years. Before couches, before blankets, before humans kept cats indoors. Wild cat ancestors used kneading to prepare sleeping spots in tall grass or soft ground. They would press down vegetation, testing the surface before lying down. It was a survival instinct. Make the ground safe, flatten it, check for threats underneath. But over time, domestic cats adapted that instinct into something else. Instead of flattening grass, they knead blankets, pillows, beds, and sometimes your lap. The physical motion stayed the same, but the emotional meaning changed. Because now, your cat doesn't need to check for predators in the grass. They just need to confirm one thing. This place is safe. And the fact that they do it while sitting with you means something very specific. Your presence has become part of their safety check. 5. Cats don't knead everywhere. They knead where they trust. Here's something most cat owners never notice. Cats don't knead randomly. Watch carefully. They don't usually knead the kitchen floor. They don't knead the doorway. They don't knead the middle of the hallway. They knead soft places, quiet places, warm places, and very often, places connected to you. Your lap, your blanket, your hoodie, your bed. Here's what's actually happening. Kneading only happens when a cat's guard is down, and cats almost never drop their guard completely. Animal cognition research consistently shows that cats maintain a level of environmental awareness even when resting. They're always listening, always scanning. But when kneading starts, that alertness fades. The body relaxes, the paws slow down, the eyes soften. Think about that for a second. Your cat is entering one of the most relaxed states they allow themselves to be in, and they choose to do it near you, not strangers, not random. Visitors you, and for a species built on independence and survival, that's a very deliberate choice. When your cat needs you, they're doing something vulnerable. Remember earlier when I said some cats knead directly on their owners? Your stomach, your chest, your legs. This is what I was talking about because this version of kneading is the most meaningful one. Most owners laugh it off, or they gently push the cat away because the claws hurt a little. But here's what's actually happening. When your cat kneads directly on your body, they're doing something incredibly vulnerable. They're treating you like the safest surface they know. Not a blanket, not a pillow. You. From your cat's perspective, that motion is something they only performed with their mother. It's a gesture tied to dependency and comfort, and adult cats don't show that level of vulnerability casually. Think about that for a second. A predator, an animal designed by evolution to survive alone, is repeating a kitten behavior on you, not because they need milk, but because their brain associates your presence with safety that deep. You are part of their emotional security system. That's not just affection. That's trust layered over instinct. And it's one of the clearest signals your cat can give about how they feel about you. When kneading stops, it can be a message. There's one last thing very few owners realize. If your cat regularly kneads and suddenly stops doing it entirely, it can mean something has changed. Cats are creatures of emotional routines, and kneading is one of their strongest comfort rituals. So when it disappears, it can signal stress. A new environment, a shift in household energy, or sometimes physical discomfort. Veterinary behavioral studies have shown that cats often reduce comfort behaviors when they're experiencing anxiety or illness. That doesn't mean panic, but it does mean pay attention, because your cat doesn't have many ways to tell you when something feels wrong. Kneading is one of the few signals they give when everything feels right, so if it fades, it's worth asking why. Don't ignore it. So when your cat needs a blanket, do you actually know what it means? It's not just a quirky little habit. It's not just them fluffing up a place to lie down. What you're really seeing is a behavior tied to their earliest memories of safety, a ritual that calms their nervous system, a sense signal that marks belonging. Survival instinct adapted into trust, and sometimes a gesture of vulnerability directed at you. That's not just comfort. That's your cat recreating the safest feeling they've ever known. And that soft blanket beneath their paws? It was never just about the blanket and that quiet little ritual. It was never small to them. and it shouldn't be small to you either.